The following is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of We're Done Here podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening to this. Today we're here with, I don't know, a remarkable woman. Give it up for Gina Brillon.
I'm giving it up for me.
Did I say that correctly?
You did. Excellent job.
Is
Job.
that an Italian last name?
Okay, so a lot of people have debated this with me. It is both Puerto Rican and French.
Wow.
And so French people are like, it's brillant.
Yeah.
And Puerto Rican people are like, it's brillant.
Okay.
So it depends. I've been Puerto Rican my whole life, so.
Got it. So love that about you. You're a native New Yorker too, right?
Yep, from the Bronx.
Okay, native New Yorker.
I feel like you can't say that anymore without getting backlash because Jennifer Lopez ruined it for us. I too am from the Bronx and I have a lot of pride, but I won't say it 56 times, I promise.
You can't be from the block. I can't
say nothing about the block. I can't say nothing about how my hair used to be. I can't say nothing about being from the Bronx. I can't say nothing about being Puerto Rican. She done ate up all of that time.
She really did. That's
why Cardi don't really say nothing in interviews about being from the Bronx unless you ask her.
You can't represent no more.
She got an NDA. People can't talk about the Bronx. Only she could talk about the Bronx. That's it.
Okay, but Gina from the Bronx.
Hey.
Meka from Queens. Yeah. Okay, love New York City Girl podcast this week. And you're like super funny. Like, I don't know, you're like a comedian extraordinaire. You've been on America's Got Talent. You have a special out on Amazon Prime.
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Okay, yes. So tell us about how you became this powerhouse comedian.
Well, I fell in love with comedy at a really young age. And I think it was probably really like before I was even double digits, I loved making people laugh.
Not double digits.
And before I was even double digits, I was a singular digit and I loved making people laugh. And then at 14, I discovered what stand-up was. And I was like, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So,
wow, you committed early.
Oh, yeah. And then I became a comedy nerd. And I'm still a comedy nerd to this day. I will watch specials, read biographies, go on YouTube, deep dive, quote comedians. I'll give references to people. I'm an annoying encyclopedia of comedy.
Oh, I love that because I feel like a lot of comedians, it's almost like they don't even know comedy nowadays. It's like really stressful.
I said something to a young comic once about Bill Hicks, and he said, who's Bill Hicks?
No, see, this is just... If you're a comic watching this, you don't know who Bill Hicks is, you shouldn't be a comic.
My eyes started to twitch right away. I was like... ooh, Lord Jesus.
No, that's a lot of some of the guy comics. They can't name any female comedians. I'm just
they never can, except for the obvious ones. Everybody names Sarah.
Yeah.
Everybody names Amy.
Yeah.
And everybody names, and it's still a good one. Kathleen Madigan. Still a good reference. Still a good. If you can name Kathleen Madigan, there's hope for you.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
You'll give them that. You're very nice to give them that. Okay,
I'll give them that because I think Kathleen's they're all strong comics, but when you go with just what you see at the top, it's like
then you really don't know who the best comedians are,
or the strongest comedians, or even female comedians throughout history. You say Wendy Liedman, Paula Poundstone, you say those names to me, and I go, oh, okay, I'm impressed.
Okay, so comedy snob, love that.
Yes,
we don't have enough of that. So when did you start doing this professionally?
Oh my goodness. It wasn't in terms of actually paying my bills with comedy, it wasn't until about 10 years in. I had
that's what they say.
Day job after day job. And then about 10 years in, I started getting more road work. And then 15 years in.
Okay.
I got my first manager.
Oh, nice. So there's
first
still
official manager.
There's still hope for me.
You're like, this is giving me so much hope.
I was like, there's just more time, apparently. You got to go through the motions.
This is definitely more of a marathon. It's not, if people get into it thinking, oh, I'm going to start making money. Even if you had the best plan possible, it's really difficult to start off making enough to support yourself.
Oh, definitely not. I still work a full-time job, unfortunately. But it becomes two careers.
I'm about to.
No, things is tough. Hollywood's entertainment industry is tough outside.
Going through it right now.
They really are. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. We might be all trying to get a job soon. Anyway, our night jobs. Yeah. Okay, I love that. Yeah, I love that story of how telling the progression, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So calm down,
calm yourself.
Right. And though this is an emotional wellness comedy podcast, what does that mean? We're gonna talk about some emotional wellness topic.
Oh, thank God.
You're gonna take a different spin this week because you're gonna talk about your therapy journey.
Yes.
Now, I'm a child of therapy. I've been in therapy, I don't know, my mom put me in therapy at like 5.
So smart.
So smart. I'm very
So
well
smart.
adjusted. So that's why I do this podcast and fake
Yeah.
therapy, everyone else. But
I can't wait.
Tell us about your therapy journey.
So mine started, my first experience with a therapist, ironically, it was with the therapist I'm seeing now, but it was years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I was around 19 years old, and I was in a relationship that was clearly not going anywhere. And I had a really tough time admitting that.
Okay.
Because it was a 5-year relationship and there was just a lot of turmoil. And so I went to this therapist, and off the suggestion of a friend, because he was like, there's this therapist, he has a lot of clients that are comedians. He would understand you, he'd understand your struggles.
Okay.
So because I started comedy at like 17, 18 years old, so I was now a couple years into comedy. And I was like, you know, going through this turmoil plus trying to make it in an industry that I didn't really understand yet.
Yeah.
And so I went to see this therapist for one session. He said something I did not like, and I left.
Okay.
And then I said, I never went back. So fast forward, over a decade later, I'm going through yet another tumultuous relationship with a very bad breakup. And a friend of mine picked up on it. It's so funny. The people that know you will pick up on the most subtle things.
Yes,
I had
that's true.
posted something on Facebook, and he was like, what's going on with you? This is not like you. And I said, you know, I just kind of poured my heart out and was like, this is what's happening, and it's insane, and I'm miserable, and I'm scared, and blah, blah, blah. And we were breaking up, and it was so bad. And he goes, I really want you to talk to this therapist. And it's the same guy I saw.
Oh, wow. That's
at
crazy.
19.
Wow.
And so
that's
I went in to
crazy.
see him, and I gave all of the hard stuff a try. Because I will not, at first, it was hard to be honest.
Is that why you left him the first, him or her? I don't know who it is,
Him.
but that's why you left him the first time, because you didn't like what he had. You didn't want to do the work, essentially.
I didn't want to do the work. I was stubborn.
Okay.
And he was very honest, and he was like, this relationship is not going to last. And I
Okay.
was like, fuck you don't know. I was like so mad. And then he was right. We broke up like, I think a couple months after that we broke up. He was 100% right. And I just wasn't ready for the challenge that therapy is, because it really challenges everything you think you know about yourself. Because when we're talking about perception, especially perception of self, there is how we want to be perceived, meaning the public persona we want everybody to think we are.
Yes.
And then there's how we are actually perceived.
Yes.
Because just because you're doing all the things that make you think you might be viewed as a good person does not necessarily mean you are actually being viewed as a good person. And it depends on how you want to be perceived. And I think at that time, and I didn't even have a frontal lobe yet. Of course I wasn't ready.
19.
I wasn't ready to deal with anything.
no one has time for
So, you know, by the time I had hit my 30s or my mid 30s, I was like, okay, yeah, it's time to accept certain truths and maybe get out of my own way and unpack a lot of the stuff that I've internalized.
So did you go, it sounds like you went to therapy for the same reason 10 years later that you did at 19. Okay, got it. So how long ago was that re-entry into therapy?
I was probably mid 30s. I was about 34, 35.
Okay, so how long have you been working on these issues now? Are you still seeing the same guy?
Yeah, almost a decade now.
Okay, so tell us about the progress and like, has there? I mean, it doesn't have to be progress.
I've gone nowhere.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing. I haven't grown at all. This man is making so much money. No, there's been a lot of growth. A lot of it has been painful because I think when you go on a journey to really sort of rediscover yourself or rebuild yourself, because a lot of us don't realize that a lot of the cracks in our foundation that came from our childhoods are what lead to the cracks in our story later on.
Facts.
And
Facts.
I had to accept certain things about those cracks in my foundation without blame. I can look at my parents now and know, okay, this is the trauma that I have because of how I was raised.
Yes.
But I don't hold it against you because I now see you as people as opposed to these, faultless gods that were supposed to be perfect.
That is work.
Yes, that is work. And also just unpacking a lot of, I existed in an industry, as you know this, that is, misogynistic, racist, sexist, classist. And so there was a lot of that stuff that I internalized because a lot of us, a lot of women in the industry in general, much less women of color, had to act like one of the boys to belong.
No, that's true. Yes, that
for
is
a very
true.
long time because you're part of the boys club, and it's like, if I'm not a cool chick, they won't accept me, and then I won't get spots, and then I won't be liked.
Yeah.
And I had to unpack a lot of that people pleasing, wanting to be like, and that's a process even to this day.
Yeah.
To this day, it's a process of, you know, doing things because I actually want to do them and not because they may please somebody else and I just don't want to disappoint someone.
Got it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Also realizing how much people pleasing makes you a little douchey.
Yeah, I hate people pleasing, but I'm trying to do a little bit more because I'm the opposite of like, I won't please anybody. Like I'm being a little too...
Okay, you borrow from me and I'll borrow from you.
I went a little too stubborn with it. but no.
Well, that's why, because you've been on this journey for so long. I think it's better that you're not a people pleaser, but you can still have empathy and compassion for other people.
No, that's what I'm trying to learn. I learned that now. That's where I'm trying to learn, like, how am I being perceived? Because there's a whole bunch of, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But trying to figure that out. But no, I like the fact that you said that, because then there's the opposite end when you're constantly people pleasing and you're just, and you have no idea what you want.
You lose your identity. You end up becoming whoever you need to be in the moment to please that person.
Exactly.
So that there are no big issues like, oh, somebody doesn't like me. And I think I'm finally at a place where I'm like, if you don't like me, that sounds like a you problem.
No, that's true.
I'm not gonna sit at home and think about it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a you thing now. You take on that burden because I'm gonna live my life and never think about whether or not you like me.
No, that makes sense.
But every time I come up on your feed or every time something comes up, you now take on the burden of getting upset and losing your own focus.
That's true. I really like that. So this decade of work in therapy, can you pinpoint, are you comfortable with sharing any like real life, you kind of shared, but like any real life examples maybe related to relationships or anything else like that therapy has helped you through? So our guests, like if you're going through this at home, go see a therapist anyway.
Oh yeah. One of the biggest things that I learned to do in the most difficult situations was take accountability for my part. And this is so many different reasons why I struggled with accountability. It was my internalized misogyny, the fact that I grew up with a dad who always had to be right, and I grew up around people who always had to be right, and always would get defensive and never examined what their part in a conflict was. And so I had an incident where a very good friend of mine, and you know, we're good now, but we had to take some time to like go, okay, we should take some time apart for a little bit. And we were very close and we were working very closely on a lot of things. And I was dropping the ball. I was dropping the ball, and I'm so used to overextending myself that when people do it for me, I don't see it.
Ah, that's interesting.
And so I had to really accept the fact that she had overextended herself on several accounts, and I had never said anything, and I had never moved in a direction to make her stop overextending herself. And in that way, I took advantage of this person, even if it was not intentionally. It was this subconscious okayness with somebody going the extra mile without me acknowledging it or even stepping up so that I'm at least not making her do it all the time. Wow. And that was hard. It was hard to sit with. And during that time where we took a break, there was a lot of guilt that I dealt with and anger at myself that I dealt with, because accountability, people think accountability is saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's not saying I'm sorry, and it's not acknowledging just what you've done and saying I'm aware of what I've done. It's also taking the action of, now this is how this is never going to happen again.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what accountability is. And that's the part that everybody misses about accountability. They do the sorry. They do the I acknowledge that I did this. Now, where's the actionable step?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because without that last step, the rest of it is empty.
No, that's true. That is true. And you brought this is so interesting because I'm going through something like that now. But I feel I've overextended myself for a friend, and they want to talk to me again. But it's like, you want to talk about what exactly? Are you going to take accountability? But I don't even think they know how. So it's like,
again, accountability is
sad.
something I even had to learn how to take accountability.
I think it's a learning
and this
thing.
is why I say it was my own internalized misogyny, having seen so many men in my life take accountability in that kind of half-ass way.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm sorry, okay, I did this. Do you forgive me yet?
Yeah,
and it was like, I would, because I thought that's what accountability was.
Yes.
Well, you acknowledged it, but then the behavior never changed.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it has to be a requirement about that last step has to be a requirement. Even if this person wants to talk to you again and wants to take accountability, that last step has to come with it.
How is it not going to happen again? No, I love the fact. And how did therapy help you get to this like epiphany, if you will? Like, what did what people look for in a therapist, if you will?
Well, for me, what I looked for in a therapist was somebody who was not going to coddle me. And was not going to tell me the things that I wanted to hear, because I didn't need that. I knew I didn't need that. And thank goodness, because I know a lot of people that go to therapists that all they want is like a pat on the head, and they never want to actually face the things they need to face to move past what they need to move past. Yeah. So I wanted someone to challenge me. I wanted someone to be like, okay, so what are you going to do about that now? And how are you going to change that? And I think what got me to accountability was my therapist literally talking to me about actionable steps, not just in this situation, but in every situation. What are the actionable steps that you can do to change this situation that you're unhappy about?
That makes sense. Actionable steps. That's true. That's important. That is important. So like, if someone, all right, going back to you being 19 and then you dealing with the same, because that, granted, this man was destined to be your therapist.
Oh, 100%.
But a lot of times it's not a one-size-fit-all therapist thing. You told us like what your therapist gave you actionable steps, but like, how do people even find therapists? It sounds like you had got a referral.
Yes, I got a referral, which is, sometimes a good way to get a therapist is, talk to somebody who's seeing a therapist, find out if they work at a place that has a bunch of therapists. Like there's my therapist is part of an office that has other therapists. They have couples counseling, children's counseling, like all these different things. So sometimes you can just inquire the people like, hey, who are you seeing and would you recommend them? Is a great place to start. There's places like BetterHelp, and there's other places that you can look up online. But for the most part, I think referrals are the best, only because you really get the experience of like, oh, this person is very empathetic. No, this person is going to challenge you. This person is this. And it also depends on what you're looking for. For a very long time, people were like, why are you seeing a male therapist? Oh. And I was like, well, that's kind of just how it happened. Like it's not like I was like, yay, a male therapist. I was just like, I saw this guy, it worked out, and is what it is. But I had also, for a brief period of time, seen a woman of color as a therapist. And now I understand why people asked. Because it was different to have somebody who literally can walk in your shoes.
No, that's true, yes.
Who understands the oppression, the sexism, the misogyny that is built into a system that we have to exist in.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And so that was different, because trying to explain that sometimes, and my therapist gets it, thankfully, but even to some of the men in my life, trying to explain how women exist in the world can be a battle. So
no, that's true. I empathize with that. I saw a gay man therapist once, which was like, anyway, but
Happy Pride.
He was gay. He was great or whatever. Then I saw like a straight white man therapist. And like, I was like, this man does not get what's happening. I was like, bye, dude. And that's because he was a nice man, but he just didn't have the depth. Like, he didn't have the level of, he didn't get, he's like walking in a white man's shoes. I was like, no, thanks. And then
I get that.
A black woman. I was like, okay. Now we can like talk on a base level of understanding, and without having to explain.
Exactly.
Because it's just a depth of knowledge that, unless you like study, I don't know, race relations for years, that you're not going to have as like a white male.
My husband is a white man. The things I have to explain to that man that would be common sense to my friends, to my family, are insane. Even just navigating as a woman. Some guy asked for my number once, and I gave it to him, and he was like, why'd you give him your number? And I said, because I didn't want to die.
So he won't beat you up, hello? Unless you want to go fight somebody.
I have an Apple phone. I'm going to block him the first text that gets sent. Like, that's just what it is. I was approached at night by somebody who wanted my number.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get murdered because of your insecurities.
Exactly.
I was very much I had my wedding ring with me. This man clearly did not care. So I'm not trying to get abducted.
Yeah, get the number, block him. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so even explain
Or
something
let
like
my
that.
husband pick up as soon as he calls. Here you go. Pick up the phone.
Yeah, if you want to be the big man, deal with it.
Yeah, go ahead. You deal with it. No, you afraid of getting beat up too? Okay, give me the phone then. Give me the phone.
So yeah, it's just a lived experience kind of thing. So that makes perfect sense. Is there anything you're dealing with in therapy right now that you're working on that you want to share?
A list of things.
Okay.
Between I think for a lot of us, confidence is always a battle.
Yeah.
But being a woman in this industry where you're told your value depletes with time.
Oh yes, that's true. I heard that.
And dealing with that, even in a climate where people are like, that's not true anymore. I'm like, tell that to the industry.
Yeah, the industry still thinks it's true.
The industry still believes that it's true and still acts as if it's true. And so there's a part of me that's like, that struggles with that, you know.
No, that's true.
I have I'm a big mentality and like mindset kind of person, and so you know I listen to all the greats, Bob Proctor, Earl Nightingale, like all the white men that was trying to give us white men secrets. I listen to them all and just I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, like mindset and thinking positively. But even within that world, there are moments where you hit a low.
Yeah.
And as much as you might want to be a positive person, I don't like the idea of being toxically positive in those moments.
Oh no, because you have to acknowledge reality.
And I have to acknowledge my feelings, like, and honor my feelings and go, yeah, I'm feeling insecure in this moment. So let's, again, actionable steps. Let's figure out how we get out of this.
No, that's true. Yeah, it is true. Because like I feel like it's interesting. Comedy is weird in the sense that it seems like everyone who's on top of the game is like 50 or 60.
Yep.
That's what it seems like. But at the end of the day, the entertainment industry as a whole only values youth and like what's next, especially for women. So it's kind of like when you think about those female greats or whatever, there's not many of them. Is this like, you know what I mean? Does
and it was
come
a
down?
battle thing. It's a battle, honestly,
Yeah,
for relevancy when you're in the entertainment industry, because you're fighting against the clock. And the more you try to act like a younger person, the more they call you ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the more you act your age, the more they tell you you're aging out. So it's a double-edged sword of like, well, what do I do? Like,
no, that's true. That is crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. So your therapist has helped you with that in terms of like thinking positively.
Just thinking positively and constantly reminding myself of the things that I have achieved and the things that I should be proud of and the directions that I'm going in now. And also understanding that sometimes I think we want to fit in a certain group or with a certain like level of comics when we've already kind of surpassed that in what we've done.
That's true.
And you go, oh, but I'm not that person who I don't belong in that group and now I feel left out. That's because you've surpassed.
You've left that group.
Their lane is here, your lane is here. It's okay that their lane is here.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're over here, and respect the fact that you're over here.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And like also there's a demographic for everyone.
100%.
Like, I don't know. I think men are loud on the internet so they can like control like certain things. But like apparently women buy the most comedy tickets, I heard, which is interesting. Yeah.
If only they knew.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Well, Gina, thank you so much for sharing your therapy journey. Any last minute thoughts for anyone like, I don't know, thinking about therapy, but was like, this ain't for me, especially like your fellow Puerto Ricans from the Bronx. You know how they be.
I literally witnessed it firsthand. I was taking a 10-hour train ride yesterday, and there was this Latino family that was there, and just the patriarch of the family, you could tell. I was like, when you've been in therapy, I always say that, I say this on stage, you could therapize. And I was therapizing. And I was like, this is a man that this is the only power that he feels he has. The way that he talks to his family, the way that he orders them around. This is the only power you've ever felt like you've had. So they have to live in fear of you or you feel powerless. And I was watching this go down and I was getting angry, but I had to like really like chill myself, because that's what I think people need to understand. Yes, therapy is for you. 100%. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
I think everyone should go. And why do I think we should go? It's because we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't. And our parents sure as hell didn't know what they were
they don't
doing.
know what the hell they're
And now there's so much more knowledge on how the mind works, how depression works, how all these things work. I'll tell this story real quick. I did a mission trip out to Honduras, right?
Oh, nice.
This was years ago.
Well, I don't know if it was nice. I'm just, I was like,
Oh, nice. It was terrible. No, it was life-changing. And what they do is they, was with Christian brigades because I was heavy into the church, but I would honestly still go just to help the people of Honduras. And we were in Naranjito, and some of the people we made a makeshift pharmacy so people could get medications, and it was like Tylenol and different antibiotics that we could give people for their ailments. And then every now and then you would get a bag and you would look in the bag, and inside the bag would be a referral to the psychologist. And that would be the only medication that they would be provided.
Oh.
And it was the hardest thing to explain to them, because they would come up so relieved and excited that they were going to get medication. And it was like, there's nothing physically wrong. You have to go and talk to somebody. And I think that's what people don't understand. Just because there's nothing physically wrong with you doesn't mean that you don't need help.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. That's true. Thank you so much for sharing that, Gina. Well, we're done with toxicity. Well, kind of. We're dealing with it.
We're dealing with it.
We're dealing with it by going to therapy and listening to We're Done Here, the emotional wellness comedy podcast, as I therapize. But is there anything you're not done with this week, pop culture or otherwise?
Oh, my goodness. Pop culture-wise, I am not done with cheesy action movies. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Really? Are those back?
The cheesier, the better. I do not care. First of all, I'm the biggest Die Hard fan. I love Die Hard, and it's one of the best movies ever made. I will fight you on that.
Yeah.
I will fight you on that. I love a good action movie. It does, like, I don't sit there and expect an Oscar-winning performance or anything, but I will watch every Mission Impossible. I will watch every Marvel movie too. Don't get it twisted. I'm a Marvel person.
No, that's definitely.
But any action movie,
have you seen Roadhouse on Prime?
Not yet. I want to.
Oh, so that's some man candy in that. I feel like
that's what I heard.
There's a deficit of man candy. Not that boxer man. I'm like, excuse me, little leprechaun man. We're not into it. But Jake Gyllenhaal, he always comes good with the shirt off, all that. Thank you.
He put in that work. Thank you, Jake.
Shout out to Jake for that.
Are we sexualizing you? Yes.
Of course we are. Well, I'm not done with. I think honestly, I like spent a lot of the weekend rewatching Bridgerton again, just because you know what it is. It's like I watched season 3, Penelope and Colin, whatever. I wasn't really into. I was like, it was a cute story, but season 2 of Bridgerton, wow. Like, I don't know if you know the lead, his name.
I know only the clips I've seen on TikTok.
Oh, you have to watch. Like, it's like the best love story ever.
This is what everybody says, but
it's
I don't want to get caught up in it because I know myself, and I'm the type of person that when I binge watch, I'm not leaving my house. Like,
that's what Bridgerton got you in your house, like watching it. But anyway, the season 2 is the best season. Honestly, I forgot that actor's name. He's gay in real life, but whatever. He's hot in person. And the man candy is just, it's giving.
Unbelievable. That's what everybody says.
Yeah, I'm just like,
between the dialogue and the man candy, this is what I've heard.
I'm like, I
feel like
did it again.
I would watch that and then just glare at my husband and be like,
it's got some good lines. It might.
You trash.
I got some good lines.
I would really feel like that, though.
That's hilarious. Gina, where can our guests find you?
You can find me at G Brillon on Instagram and Gina Brillon on the TikTok. And I'm filming my 5th comedy special, June 27th at Gotham Comedy Club.
Yay. Awesome. Well, this has been We're Done Here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're pretty much done here.
Yeah.